Hikaru offers Boris Gelfand his queen in exchange for checkmating with a knight pawn combination, which is quite rare on Boris trapped king, you could say. So Hikaru is playing with the black pieces here, and Boris Gelfand is playing with the white pieces here. So after this is the king's Indian defense, the normal variation of the king's defense. Hikaru is playing with the black pieces, and Boris with the white pieces. So after the knight to f3 move, Hikaru castles on the king's side, and bishop now comes to e2, and e5 is played, attacking the central pawn control of Boris Gelfand. All three pawns are controlling a lot of these twice on the fifth rank. So pawn push, trying to reduce that influence. E5 is played, and after that castles on the king side Boris, and knight to c6 by Hikaru, and pawn push is to d5, keeping the pressure on the center and also attacking this knight. So knight jumps here to e7, and knight to d2 by Boris, now allowing you to push this pawn on that f file, and also allowing you to activate your rook later on in the game. So knight retreats to e8, saying that so that Hikaru can open up his f pawn and also activating his rook. Pawn push to b4 now, launching a queenside attack by Boris, and pawn push to f5. Hikaru plays the pawn push f5 first, and the the queenside pawn push continues by Boris. So c5 is played, and knight to f6 is now played. A better move would be to push a5 over here, trying to create a counter attack on the queenside pawn push. But knight to f6 is played by Hikaru, and f3 is played by Boris, creating this, completing the like pawn structure. So instead of going for the capture and opening up the f file, pawn is pushed to f4, and looking to create more pressure on the king side of white. So knight to c4 now, creating more pressure on this pawn on here over d6, which is attacked twice. Now, for the time being, it's defended well. And pawn push to g5 now, creating this nice little pawn structure for both Hikaru and Boris alike. So a4 now, pushing the pawn on the queen side, Boris, and knight goes to g6 now. So this pawn push allows you to bring your knight like a little bit more closer to the king side and into a more attacking position, and bishop to a3 is now played, looking at this d6 pawn and putting in more pressure over here. A better move would be to bring your bishop over here to d2, but Hikaru plays a3. So rook now comes to f7, getting away from this extra attack and also placing the rook on the 7th rank, making it a better defensive piece. And b5 now continue pushing the pawns on the queen side, and the d pawn captures the c5 pawn, and bishop captures back, and pawn push to h5. Hikaru just continues with his plan of pushing the pawns on the king side, even though he's castle on the king side. Pawn push to f5 now, and g4 now, creating pressure on that particular king side pawn. So instead of going for the capture b6 is now played, and Hikaru continues pushing his pawn to g3 over here. So the king now moves away to h1, and bishop goes to f8, making way for this rook to open up, which this g file could open up pretty soon. So making way for that, and also trying to counterattack this particular very good dark square bishop, which is controlling a lot of spaces into the back rank of Hikaru. So d6 now, covering that very good bishop. He didn't want to go for an exchange for that, and after that the pawn is captured. A pawn captures the b6 pawn, and bishop now retreats to g1 over here, and going into a defensive position at g1. So knight jumps to h4 here. After this, rook goes to e1, and knight to g2, allowing offering to sacrifice uh, the knight, but he didn't go for that and goes d in the c7, creating an attack with the on this queen with the pawn over here. And after that, basically this queen is not defended. Actually, it's not defended well. So because of that, knight goes and captures this e1 pawn. So if you get greedy here and goes to capture this queen of Hikaru, then it will be checkmate like this, because if you capture this particular queen like this, the next pawn, this pawn will push here to g2, and the game will be over because this king did not have anywhere else to go. So because of that, he cannot capture this queen. Hikaru offered, but Boris declined, and instead he captured this knight back. And now pawn push to g2 with a check, and now you are forced to capture with your king. And after that, rook comes to g7 with a check, and the king goes back to h1 over here. So bishop now goes to h3 over here, again threatening checkmate. So if you put your bishop here, the game will be over now. So because of that, bishop goes to f1, trying to counter that particular uh, light square bishop's influence to checkmate, and queen goes to d3 here. So if you capture, you cannot capture this bishop, queen with your bishop, because then it will be checkmate like this. So because of that, the knight goes to e5 and captures this pawn and create an attack on the queen at the same time. So the bishop captures the bishop and queen captures the bishop back, and after which this knight which was hanging is captured now. So Hikaru is already up by a major piece now, and a rook comes to c1 attacking the queen. So the queen goes in and captures the second knight, and after which this pawn is pushed, and basically the queen is back on the board. So the rook captures the queen, and the rook captures back, and the queen can go to e6 attacking this rook over here. So as of this position, Boris resigned the game because even in the best possible way, you will have Hikaru will have these two very nice pass pawns, and the king is trapped here. It cannot move because of the rook over here, and these pass pawns can be easily pushed, and he's already Hikaru is also up by a major piece as well. So with an endgame with two pass pawns, it's a lost position, and Boris resigned the game. So that's the game. Thanks very much for watching. We'll be back with more such videos.